I'm a relative newcomer to the Snowfakery world. It's part of the open source commons and community sprints, originally within Nonprofit Success Packet. It's been around for a couple of years, but we've all built basic sandboxes, and they're very helpful, clean slates, and they include our metadata, but not always our data. And certainly we can use partial sandboxes with some data, but they're not always ideal. We have 5 days between refreshes, and especially if we're dealing with new metadata, that's a challenge. And if we don't yet have data and need to do some testing, then it gets especially complicated. And we start to look at, and just here's a sample formula. When you want to actually have these formulas populate in a sandbox, you actually have to build in all the fields. And the same is true when we're working with some basic flows. It's especially challenging. So this video is really about showing you how you can use Salesforce supported off-the-shelf resources to click and add fake, really synthetic data to your sandboxes. And it's just to get you started. There are some good trails that you can work with to learn more about CumulusCI. And I would look at the description below this video that'll show you kind of the additional links that you can use. If we go out and look at a sandbox and we've built out a couple of contacts, and you'll notice kind of the date and time of these, and then for each of those contacts we build out an opportunity, actually 2 opportunities for each of those contacts. We say for each of those we want to do is to create an account partial credit. So you can just think of this as being kind of yet another level. So we have the initial households, and then we built that additional accounts that we're actually going to be sharing the donation with. And if we look at this opportunity and we go out to the related side and we scroll down, we can see that there are soft credits that we can point to, and those soft credits are going to give us information about the accounts involved. Now remember, there were 2, so this is just showing one of those. This would be showing, again, kind of how these kinds of processes work. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out now to VS Code, and I want to show you how we built it. First thing we can do is to take a look at what information is out there now. So we're going to do something called a CCI org list and say what's there. And here the system responds by telling us we have these active, and again, these are beta and dev, these are early stage things. Connected orgs are the persistent ones. And what you can see is that we have this SF, a Salesforce account soft credit. And if I go back out and look at this, that's the name of the sandbox that we were working from. And so if I take again, and what I'm doing here is just an up arrow to go get the commands that I've done in the past. This is my connection. What you're seeing here is CCI org connect, and then this Salesforce account soft credit -- sandbox allowed it to pull up a connection. And so that was actually really helpful. So now what I'm going to do is to run this one. We're running a task in Snowfakery using a recipe, and it's scrolling away from me. So after 13 seconds, it created 8 accounts, the 2 contacts, and the 4 opportunities. If we go out and take a look at them again, so here's my contacts, I do a refresh. What it shows is I've added 2 new contacts. So this one and this one, right, we can do by create dates. In the same way that if we go out and look at the opportunities, refresh, we've banged in another 4 of those. So now we have 8 of those. And if we go out to the accounts, that's also going to be doubling, right? So now we have 20 accounts that we're dealing with because they were actually part of this process. You can imagine scaling this thing. You can actually run it, thousands of times and create tons of interesting data. And just as a quick snapshot of what we're looking at, and we'll look at this in a future video, just driving in a little deeper, but looking at the account soft credit recipe, there's a recipe up here that describes the process, and then down here it actually says what we're going to do is to build out a contact, 2 contacts with first and last names. We're then going to associate an opportunity with those contacts, actually two opportunities. And then for each of those opportunities, we're going to then create an object here called a soft credit for two more of those, which are going to include contacts. And you can see it actually creates down here an account, which is a fake account as well. Fascinating stuff. Hope that was a helpful introduction. And again, remember that this is all off-the-shelf Salesforce stuff, part of the open source community. It's been around a bunch of years, and special thanks to Jeanette, Paul, Jess, Sam, Aaron, all the folks that have made this thing work. It's a very impressive tool and worth learning. Thanks for your time.